Mayor, Mr. Alam, devastating news yesterday, him being found dead. My question to you is, who's responsible for his death, and what is your reaction to Detective Richard High apparently closing the case for a period of time before he was found?
So a few things. So we're going to put together, late morning, early afternoon, a timeline of the Buffalo Police Department's investigation from the first 911 call to the officers responding, throughout the last year. So we're going to be very clear in public of what the Buffalo Police Department did and when they did it. But I issued an order a few weeks ago saying the Buffalo Police Department will not interact or help the Department of Homeland Security in their civil immigration enforcement actions. The incident that we're talking about makes it so, of course we shouldn't, because the Department of Homeland Security, Border Patrol, and ICE, they don't know what they're doing. And it's been demonstrated. A Border Patrol agent picked up this man from the holding center custody, drove him to an ICE facility, and the ICE facility said, we don't want this guy. And then the Border Patrol officers had no protocol of what to do with a disabled man who doesn't speak English, who is confused and lost. And you know what they did? They dropped him at a closed coffee shop. That's why we do not cooperate with ICE, Homeland Security, and Border Patrol.
The shop was closed at the time.
That's my understanding that that shop closes at 7 o'clock.
Mayor, can you comment on his initial arrest by Buffalo Police? Now, this officers encountered...
I can't comment on that, but we will be releasing all that information today.
So it's been reported that Mr. Alam's attorney and family wanted him to stay in custody for fear of what ICE could do to him. Who bailed him out and why wasn't he bailed out?
We don't know that yet. I hope to know it by the end of the day. I'll be talking to the sheriff. I'll be talking to the district attorney this afternoon. I don't have a clear understanding. Was he bailed out? When the charges went from felony to a misdemeanor, did that lift his bail? But what I do know is Border Patrol didn't take him back to the holding center. If they had taken him back to the holding center, I'm going to do that again without a grammatical error. What I do know is Border Patrol did not take him back to the holding center. If they had taken him back to the holding center, the desk sergeant could have reviewed his visitor log and showed that his son was a regular visitor. Here's his phone number. They could have showed that his lawyer was an active visitor. Here's his phone number. And they could have showed that his immigration lawyer was an active visitor. And here's his phone number. So there would have been ways to contact the family so you didn't leave somebody out in the cold. And according to the preliminary information, that's been released by them, not released by the medical examiners, is that he didn't have shoes on. He had orange booties issued from the holding center. So that's bad policing, but it's also bad human beings. That is an inhumane thing to do. Buffalo police officers under this situation would have taken this person to any of the various shelters in the city of Buffalo. They would have taken the steps to try to identify what's going on with this person. Remember, doesn't speak English. He's obviously has a disability and he's blind. So there's no way for him to convey to the border officers, what he wanted to do. So they let him out of the car.
Mayor, I spoke with a member of the Burmese community yesterday who asserted that it is their belief that your policy of non-cooperation with immigration forces, Border Patrol did this in retaliation to that policy.
I can't comment on that. I don't know anything.
So my follow-up question then is, who needs to investigate this matter and who needs to be held accountable?
Who needs to investigate this matter is the federal government and Border Patrol. But they already put out a statement last night full of conclusions of what their officers and what their department did, but they did it without an investigation.
So given the context you just told us that he was released with booties without even shoes on his feet, when they say he died of health-related issues, do you believe it's not of some pre-existing medical conditions, but it's because of exposure to the elements or how they put him out?
We don't know yet. When the medical examiner's report is out, so, exposure, pre-existing illness exacerbated by living in the cold, we'll figure that out when that information becomes available.
Have you been in touch with anyone in the federal government about this yet?
My office has talked to the representatives, the congressional and the Senate representatives about this matter. They've inquired. We're all going back and forth, speaking to each other now, because everyone's trying to get a handle on this. Under normal times, you could call into the officials who run Border Patrol and get answers. But these are not normal times. These are times where there are conclusions drawn without investigations, and this is what's happening here. The Border Patrol issued a statement saying everything's okay, but there's no investigation, there's no release of files, there's no release of interviews.
Mayor, there's a lot of fear and anger in the Burmese community about this incident. What is your message to that community, which is thousands of people now?
Yeah, I mean, the message to that community is the same message I put out there when I said the city of Buffalo won't cooperate with ICE, that Buffalo is a welcoming community. We have tens of thousands of new Americans living here. We've developed policies in city hall and county government to make sure that we have language access, that everyone is able to use city and county services, regardless of their ability to communicate in English. So this is really a giant step backwards, but it's against all the policies that we've been trying to put in place through state, city, county government over the last 15 years to make Buffalo a welcoming place, to make Buffalo a place where people fleeing persecution can come and feel safe and trust law enforcement and not fear being persecuted. And that's not what happened in this situation.
Do police officers have access to a language line where they can call and get live translation when they're dealing with a member of an immigrant community?
We have all different language access, but I would caution on drawing conclusions on that. We're not quite sure. It's not been documented what language this person spoke. Several different languages are spoken in Myanmar. Some of them have a written language, some don't have a written language. So it definitely makes it hard to communicate with different people from the multilingual Burmese community. But you first got to make the effort.
You said in a statement yesterday that U.S. Customs and Border Patrol must answer for how and why this happened. What can you do within your power to demand that accountability?
We write the federal government. We write to the leaders of Homeland Security. We write to the U.S. Attorney. We write to the FBI, demanding that they perform their duties under the United States Constitution. And as you've seen around the nation, those calls have not been answered.
Have you seen the body camera footage of the arrest?
I have not seen that. We're endeavoring, I have not seen the body camera footage. We're endeavoring to get that footage out along with the timeline, so everyone can see it.
So the footage does exist?
Yes, yeah, body camera footage is the policy of,
The original arrest is what you're.
Yes, the original.
yeah, I mean, it's the policy of the Buffalo Police Department to wear body cameras, and those documents are stored, and we're gonna release those we call them documents, but they're footage.
You mentioned letters. Have you actually written a letter calling for an investigation from the USAG or the FBI?
No, not since last night, Dale.
I
Do
just
you
want,
plan to?
Yes.
just wanted to clarify with the ME's, or BPD statement from yesterday saying exposure was ruled out. So was it not ruled out in the death, or?
BPD is talking to the medical examiner. The medical examiner has not released their public findings yet. So I haven't seen them, and I'm going to go off of what gets released, to the public. Right now, there's a lot of conversations going on. The Erie County Sheriff's trying to figure out what happened. Buffalo Police Department's, trying to, to figure out, what happened. But for multiple days, there was confusion because his family and attorneys, when he wasn't in the holding center, they thought he was in Batavia. And they were trying to find him. And it turns out, family finally figured out he wasn't in Batavia, that he had been released alone on a cold night, a disabled man who doesn't speak English and is blind. And so several days there was people around several law enforcement agencies around Buffalo and Erie County were trying to find him, as was the Legal Aid Society, as was the Burmese community, as was refugee resettlement agencies. Everyone is trying, to find this man.
I just have a different, on a different, if I could just.
Hold on, can we just finish this one and then go to you?
I just had one quick, different topic, but the
You
legal.
can't do a different topic until we're done with this one.
That piggybacks into my question is, did you have a conversation with his family? I mean, what was their reaction to all of this?
Remember, this is all yesterday breaking. No, I have not had conversations, with anyone's family. We're still trying to get a handle on this in terms of which law enforcement agencies, what did the federal government do, why did he get released from the holding center, who picked him up. So we're trying to just get the basic pieces of this big puzzle. And as these investigations, especially with a few different law enforcement, nonprofit agencies, a lot of information comes out quickly. But you got to synthesize it to figure out, usually after a couple days, some of the initial information gets discarded, replaced by other information. So that's where we are now. We don't want to speculate, too much. So that's my response to the medical examiner till it's out. We don't want to concretely rule based on what somebody said that they said.
Is it gonna be investigated as negligence?
Who is investigating for negligence?
Is it can?
Generally, what happens in incidents like this, after the criminal proceeding is over, usually the family brings a lawsuit against the federal government for the deprivation of civil rights under color of law. And I'd be surprised if that didn't happen in this case. Usually the civil procedure is where most of the facts come out. So if the federal government says we're not doing anything and we're not doing any criminal investigation, then the family is free to pursue its civil remedies under 42 USC 1983, which makes it so you can sue the government if somebody deprived you of your civil rights under color of law.